All right, everybody, today we're going to talk about something a little bit more challenging. We're going to talk about what can cause a supply curve to shift. The first one we're going to look at, the first reason is when a resource price decreases. So, a quick little review though first. What I want you to do is notice on this particular panel that we're looking at here that the price is constant at $1,000. So at point A, the supply, in other words, the firms, are going to supply 4,000 units at $1,000. They also supply 6,000 units at $1,000. That's point B. At point C, they provide 2,000. Now, some of you are asking why don't they just go A, B, C in order? In economics, by convention, that means that economists around the world got together and they talked about things and they made a decision. And they decided that they're always going to start with A in the middle and then shift to the right for B or shift to the left for C. This is just the way they decided to do it. It seemed to make sense. Anyways, let's go ahead and focus a little bit on this one. Then we'll look at resources. What would cause a firm to produce more or less, even though the price stayed the same? That's interesting. Well, here we go. First answer, resource prices. Let's just say that it cost you $900. So you can see here on the bottom right, let's just say it cost you $900 to produce the product. Now, if it cost you $900 and you're selling it for $1,000, your profit's $100. That's pretty good, right? Now, let's just say that it cost you $950 to produce the good and you sell it for $1,000. Your profit's $50. Okay, it's still okay. But let's just say it cost you $1,000 to produce the good. Well, now your profit is zero. Okay, so nobody's going to produce it. Well, this helps make the point. All right. So let's pretend we are starting at point A. And let's just say that point A is, it costs firms $900 to produce at point A. They are going to make $100 profit per unit because it costs them $900 to build each unit. They sell it for $1,000. So they're making $100 per unit. But let's just say that the cost to produce it goes up to $950. You say, Mr. Emmy, what do you mean by the cost of it goes up to $950? Okay, let's just say that this particular product is baseball bats. All right, now I know it doesn't cost $950 to make a baseball bat, but go with me on this one, okay? If you want to, just say, okay, pianos, all right? So let's just say that the price of lumber goes up for baseball bats, or the price for pianos, the price of lumber, the price of electronic devices, whatever. Whenever costs go up, here's what's going to happen. If your cost goes from 900 to 950, why? Remember, the price of lumber went up, or the price of the electronic equipment for pianos, whatever. If the price of the products that you use to build the product, right? You want to build a baseball bat, you got to go buy wood from somebody. Yesterday they charged you $900 for the wood. Today they charge you $950. Your profit just went down. Because your profit just went down, fewer people are going to sell it. That's right. Fewer people will sell it. Why? Because maybe you are thinking, well, geez, $50 per unit profit, that's pretty good. Okay, maybe it is. But for other people, it may not be enough. All right, maybe they're thinking, you know what? It's really not worth it for me to make this product because, I can go get a job and make more money. All right, so why would I make this product and make a small profit when I can go get a job and make a lot more money? You see, as the cost of building something goes up, profits start to shrink. And as profits shrink, fewer people want to make it. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to simplify this and bring this down to earth for some of you, okay? Let's just say, let's use two examples here. Let's just say that you are a babysitter. Now, we used to pay babysitters back when our kids were younger, and so my numbers may not be really good for you nowadays. Back then, 20 years ago, people would charge us about $5 an hour to babysit, all right, for our two kids. Nowadays, I think it's a little bit more. All right, so babysitters out there, I'm paying you $5 an hour. Well, that's all profit. Because really, what do? You drive over to my house, you sit there for 6 hours, you make your $30 and then you go home, right? Cost you maybe 80 cents in gas, if that. All right. You don't have to pay taxes on that. You don't need a license. Basically, it's all profit. All right. So the cost to babysit, you can see here, the cost to build the baseball bat or the piano or whatever. Well, if I could add a fourth row down here, I would say the cost of babysitting is essentially zero, right? So you made 30, your cost is zero, you made a profit of $30. But now let's just say that somebody from the state says, you know what, we're not digging this too much. These people are making all this money and, they're not paying taxes on their income. Bob Ramey goes to work, he gets a paycheck and he pays taxes. But, little Reggie or little Regina, they're babysitting and making all this money and they don't pay any taxes. And then somebody else says, hey, not only that, but hey, shouldn't they have a license? Shouldn't that person know how to perform CPR or some kind of first aid? Hey, people need a license to cut your hair. People need a license to drive a car. Let's make sure that person has a license to babysit. Do I sound like I'm getting a little wound up yet? I am. Anyways, you should see me in class. I really get wound up. Alrighty, so now your costs that used to be zero are now, you got to pay taxes, you have to get a license, and let's say it takes you 300 hours to get the license, right? You have to go to CPR training, first aid training, and all these kinds of things, right? So now it costs you 300 hours and a $1,000 license fee. Ladies and germs, if it costs you $1,000 to get the license plus 300 hours and you have to pay taxes on it, how many of you are going to say, forget this, I'll just go get a job at Taco Bell, right? Or I'll just go get a job at Chili's or, Applebee's and make some money where I can make tips or something. You see, once the cost of babysitting went from zero to $1,000 for the license, 300 hours for the training, plus taxes, fewer people are babysitting. In other words, the supply of babysitters used to be 4,000 kids would babysit. That was the supply of babysitters. Now, because the cost went up, the supply of babysitters shifted left to 2,000. Now a bunch of people said, it's not worth my time. Okay, there you go. Now, that is how the cost of resources or the cost of inputs will shift a supply curve. If the costs go down, profits go up, and people will supply more. So let me talk about that one for a second. Let's just say that we're starting at point A, and let's just say that you are a babysitter. Okay, we'll stick with that one. And let's say the license is $1,000, 300 hours, whatever, to get it. And let's just say a new person takes office and they say, you know what, we're going to cut that fee in half, down to $500. And they only need 30 hours of training. And they're not going to have to pay taxes. Because the cost to you, your time went from 300 hours to 20 or 30, whatever I said it was. The cost of the license went from 1,000 to 500 or whatever I said it was, but it went down. And you don't have to pay taxes. Now, because your costs went down, your profit went up, right? Look over here to the right. When costs go down at $1,000, profit was zero. Cost went down to 900, profit went to 100. So you as a babysitter, when your costs go down, your profits go up. Now all of a sudden you're making some serious money babysitting. And because you're making some serious money, you're sitting there chatting to a friend one night, and you have all this money, and they're all bummed out. Hey, how come you always have money? I always have to beg my parents for money, and they're cheap, man. So you tell your friend, you say, hey, babysit. I'm making all this money babysitting. And now because the costs went down and the profits went up, more people are going to say, there's money to be made there. So that'll shift the curve to the right. More people will be willing to babysit, all right, because the costs went down. This one's kind of tricky, isn't it? Well, and this is kind of a long video. I hope it makes sense. You are welcome to give me a call at any time. Let me rephrase that. Send me an email, and if you want, we could set up a WebEx. That WebEx is kind of fun, actually. All right, we could set up a WebEx, and we could actually have a conversation about this, okay? If you're not quite getting it, and I'm fine doing that. All right, so there you go. When the cost of resources go down, profits go up, supply shifts to the right. When the cost of resources go up, profits go down, and we shift that curve to the left. All right, if you have any questions, let me know.